This is the High School Football America podcast for August the 1st, 2019. I'm Jeff Fisher. Heading to Memphis, Tennessee right now. Another one of our winners on the Twitter contest where they tweeted out a tweet and they get to expose their program to the nation, and this one is a good one. It's been knocking on the door of the High School Football America 100 for several years. This year, the Whitehaven team starts just outside in the honorable mention category, but between you and I and Coach Saulsberry, who's going to come on here in a second, they are ranked 141 in the nation, so the 100 is not too far away. They've got a real good schedule. Once again, last year they were runner-up in the state of Tennessee in the biggest classification. Rodney Saulsberry is entering his 16th season. Great record, 158-37, a couple of state championships, the last one coming in 2016, and Coach is joining us now to talk about his kids and what I'm sure is going to be an exciting 2019 season for your kids. Welcome to the show, Coach.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's, again, you know, when I do interviews like this, I always ask the coach to put on his kind of ambassador hat for the entire community there, so the national audience can understand a little bit about Whitehaven football. The records that I just read and the state championships speak for themselves, but explain to the community what this school is like and how football fits into the fabric of the community.
Well, first and foremost, it's all about family. Our school is uniquely situated in what we call the Whitehaven Empowerment Zone, a vision of our principal, where we have 9 schools within the community that all point up from elementary school to middle school all the way up to the high school, just getting the whole community bound into one vision, one mind, one voice. So that's really the whole essence of it. And athletically, we're using our sports as a means to an end, as a vehicle to help our kids gain opportunities through athletics and in conjunction with athletics and academics to just further educational opportunities, to get them on to college, change their family's trajectory, and just to get them on another plane for their lives.
And that's a wonderful, wonderful mission. Rodney Saulsberry on the line, Whitehaven High School in Memphis, Tennessee. And I read an article when I was preparing for our interview a couple of years ago, and you were talking about that mission there, which is, you know, making sure that these student athletes really have that student aspect and get to the next level. One of the things that made me chuckle when I was reading that interview was just you talking about, since you're kind of an old guy, you've been around the block a couple of times, just the difference between back in the day doing VHSs versus Huddle and everything else they have today. How dramatically changed is it when it comes to helping your student athletes?
Oh, the change has been tremendous, and people really don't understand how short time period ago it was before the advent of Huddle, how recruiting went, how making highlight films and how doing film exchanges and how all those things were so cumbersome and time consuming. And really not efficient at all. And now with the advent of Huddle and being able to do so many things online in a streamlined process, recruiting has gone to a whole nother level, exposure. The studying of the game, the education of the game, everything is just graduated tremendously due to technology. So my wife is extremely proud and appreciative of the creators of Huddle for just saving so much time efficiency and giving coaches more time where they can actually do other things, especially being able to come home and not be stuck in front of a computer all for hours at a time trying to remember time marks and stuff and pause in one VCR and try that stuff was bananas back in the day trying to figure that whole thing out.
Yeah, it really, I remember the first time I sat, and this is years ago, I'm 58 years old, the first film breakdown session I ever got a chance to sit in, and I was like, oh my God, this is a time robber here, that's for sure. Rodney Saulsberry is on the line, Whitehaven High School in Memphis, Tennessee, and you know, another part of that question could be about just the evolution of, you know, the sport, which used to be, for coaches, a 4-month-a-year job, right? And now it's round the clock for you guys. And, you got to have spring ball, you've got your summer workouts, and then you go into fall camp, which is around the corner. How do you, as a coach, as the head coach who's in charge of kind of setting this up, how do you view, December ends, you get a little time off, you go into the weight rooms. Take the listeners through kind of your philosophy of how you build up to the opening of fall camp.
Oh, well, it's things have changed so much. You definitely want to have your kids always engaged. But one of the things that's troublesome in some areas is so many kids and so many parents are now trying to get their kids to specialize so much in one sport. And I actually think it may be somewhat of a detractor in a sense because the kids overtrain. They overtrain in some instances. But there's really is almost no time off. But you got to fixate and be intentional about make sure you give them breaks. Our goal is to always play through December. So after we have that, I try to give them 2 weeks away from football. 2 weeks away from football to where you get a time to rejuvenate and get yourself back going. But kids that play basketball, they obviously don't get that break. They kind of just go spring into the next sport. So we try to give them that break in December. And when we come back in January, as many as we can, we try to gear towards track. And then also some will also play baseball as a spring sport. And even those that can also play soccer. So we try to gravitate our kids, and we got to do a better job of that, gravitating them to play additional sports to just train their body in a different way. But obviously so many kids are wanting to be in the weight room, so you have to have a strength conditioning program. So it really runs in cycles from January on all the way to spring practice in May. And obviously, it goes from there. So it's a year-round process, but you also got to find ways to diversify the kids and how they train.
No doubt about it. The numbers don't lie. Multi-sport athletes do make a difference. Talking Tiger football, Whitehaven High School in Memphis, Tennessee, with Coach Rodney Saulsberry. And Coach, let me just take a few seconds here to let I said you guys play a tough schedule. Let the listeners know exactly how tough it is, aside from your tough in-state schedule, which includes a game this year against Brentwood Academy, that powerhouse you have there, number 114 in our preseason. And I don't put a lot into preseason rankings. It's more fun for the fans, obviously. You also have on September the 6th, you get from Arkansas, North Little Rock. That's a great program. They're number 97. You've got a very tough team from Mississippi in South Haven. So tell me and the listeners a little bit about your philosophy about scheduling such a rugged, amount of games. How does that prepare you for, what you want, which is that postseason run that goes deep into December?
Well, the quote that I love is iron sharpens iron. If you want to have a quality program, you have to play and compete against quality programs. So having a challenging schedule will give your kids the fortitude to just be able to go into tough places and play, be able to play against quality opponents. And it's a challenge to coaches to make sure you're doing your proper preparation and getting the game played above the neck and also physically getting your body ready to compete at the highest level. So we want to play a competitive schedule. We want to challenge ourselves to get out and play top programs because that's what we aspire to be. We want to be a top program, not only in the state of Tennessee, but also in the country. So you have to challenge yourself and go out and play teams and play tough matchups. So we're excited about the challenge this year. And if we want to go to state championship, which we will face tough programs from the other side, be it Maryville, be it Murfreesboro, Oakland, or whomever comes out of the other side, those are two really talented programs on the other side of the state. We just have to keep preparing and challenging ourselves with tough competition.
Sure. Rodney Saulsberry on the line, Whitehaven High School in Memphis, Tennessee. And Coach, let's let you play ambassador a little bit here. You mentioned a couple of the teams that have found their way into our national rankings. You're knocking on the door. But let's educate the listeners as to the quality of football in Memphis. I'm down the road here in Atlanta. I've gotten to learn it a little bit over the last year as I read kind of you got the commercial appeal there and what you guys are doing. Explain to the listeners around the country how good Memphis high school football is.
Well, I'll say it's one of the diamonds in the rough. It's one of the diamonds in the rough that people are recognizing. And if we actually go back to historically, it's so much talent in the Memphis area. We just go back and look. It's so many SEC talented, Division I talented kids that are constantly being produced out of the Memphis area. We're known as a basketball city. Well, we produce more football players at the highest level in Memphis. So we have a great talent pool, and we're actually getting better as it goes. The coaching is getting better. So, again, also the football IQs are increasing. the preparation, all those things are increasing. So Memphis football has improved tremendously. We have 9 6A schools in the Memphis area. So that's a lot. In the Memphis area, we have 9 6A schools, which is the highest level. We have, I believe, 4 of the highest level of the private schools, the private school region in the Memphis area. And, I mean, we have probably about 70 or 80 schools in Memphis that play high school football. So, I mean, it's a ton of schools, a ton of talent, and just a ton of players and student athletes all across the city that play at a high level. So Memphis is a hotbed for talent. A lot of people come and pick out our talent from Memphis. So Memphis football is on the rise, and our job is just continue to get the exposure all across the country for the talent that we have in the city.
Yeah, I like that, a diamond in the rough. You have more there than Elvis, I guess, is the point that you were making with that. Coach Saulsberry on the line right now.
Go ahead. Our school is on Elvis Presley Boulevard.
That's not a bad place to be if you want to break onto that big national scene and get everybody looking at you. Coach, we're talking Whitehaven High School football tonight. And before we delve into some kids by name, the kids that you're looking for, not only on the field talent-wise, but leadership and all that, I talked to Kevin Creasy, the guy that beat you last year in the state championship game at Oakland, and I asked him this question, and I'm going to give you the same opportunity because it's no surprise to me, especially when I look at our algorithm and have seen the climb of Tennessee football in general. It used to be maybe a couple, 3, 4 names that everybody could pick out. But overall, it seems as though that, just like you said there in Memphis, that it's kind of a diamond in the rough, that Tennessee is an upcoming state. I mean, do you agree with that? And if you do, why do you think it is getting to the point where it's getting into that mention of, hey, there are some good kids that you need to recruit in that state?
Oh, yeah, it definitely has grown tremendously. They hold Nashville, Murfreesboro area, so that Middle Tennessee area has grown. It's grown over leaps and bounds. So the talent in that area has intensified because they're intentional about the training and the things that they do outside of just football to get their kids better. So that area is blossoming. Also, and Tennessee is such a long state. It's such so it covers so much ground that a lot of people, you have these little spots and areas that sometimes it gets lost. It gets lost in that. But it's so many kids here. There's so much land area, so much space, so much population. With it being so spread out, sometimes we don't get the same benefit that some others get because it's so spacious. But there's a lot of areas. I mean, the Knoxville area has been thriving. The Chattanooga area, and then also, but obviously the leaders would be the Nashville, Murfreesboro area, and then I say Memphis probably has the most talent across the state overall.
It's interesting. I told Coach Creasy in the algorithm that we did just kind of lumped everybody together in all the states. Tennessee cracked the top 12. They're in the dirty dozen right now, so that's a pretty good climb. You guys were somewhere when we started this a couple of years ago around 20th in the nation, but it's moving up. Talking Whitehaven High School Tiger football out of Memphis, and now time to kind of camp right around the corner. Actually, are you guys in camp already?
Yeah, we started full swing this week.
Okay, well, let's start talking about some of the kids by name that you're looking for big things out of. I know when I took a look at what you had coming back off of the Max Preps roster, one of the things that stood out was it looks like you got a pretty good defensive returning group there, a good unit. Your linebackers, I think, are all D1 prospects. So why don't we get some of these kids' names in? Start on the defensive side of the ball and what you expect out of them.
We'll start with the jersey numbers 1, 2, and 3. I say they wear those jerseys for a reason. Again, number 1 being Bryson Eason, just a dynamic athlete, and it's just as a kid, he's a young kid, so he's just turning 17. He'll actually about graduate almost as a 17-year-old, but standing 6'3", 250 pounds, running a 4.6 laser time. It's like, an athlete that big and just can move that well playing middle linebacker. It's scary that he can actually get better, and he actually can get better as he goes to college. So that naturally makes him one of the top linebackers in the nation. The size alone, speed, all that combination. So we're just excited about what he can be continually as a true middle linebacker and the alpha male to have at the start of your defense. Then it goes on for there for number 2, Martavius French, who had a great dynamic season last year. Unfortunately, Bryson was hurt and missed about half of the season, and Martavius stepped up and took the mantle and ran with it and led our defense. And obviously, when they partnered back up, we're able to still play in the state championship game. Martavius, again, is the prototypical size where he's 6'3", 235 pounds, and he just turned 17 last week.
Wow.
So again, these two young kids that are just their size projects well to the next level, and they're great kids and savvy football players. And to round up that trifecta will be Tamarion McDonald, who is that hybrid safety linebacker kid at 6'2", about 220 pounds right now, that can run and jump as a dynamic athlete. We just say he's Mr. Everything. He's our punter, plays receiver. I mean, just can play anywhere on the football field. Just a true athlete. So all three of those guys are just marquee guys, all getting recruited by the top SEC schools. Two of them have already committed. Martavius to University of Arkansas and Tamarion to Mississippi State University. So those three are the leaders of our defense. And up front, we have Zion Walker, who has some FBS offers as well at defensive tackle. And Andre Gooden has been a starter for years at our free safety spot. So the center of our defense and that linebacker core is just led by some great athletes. But that defense we're excited about it. Antonio Hall at corner is going to be another little feisty guy. I love him as the nickel, just a guy that has a nose for the football. Had 4 interceptions, returned 2 for touchdowns last year. So defensively, we're just excited about the group that we bring back.
Talking Whitehaven High School football, just outside of the High School Football America 100. Honorable mention this year, a couple of state championships under Coach Saulsberry's run. And, Coach, let's flip it over to the offensive side of things. What do you have coming back? What do you have to fill? What's it look like?
Well, first and foremost, it starts with Cameron Sneed, our tailback, at almost 2,000 yards last year overall. So, again, just being able to run the football, and he can catch the ball in the backfield. So being a every down back, he has that. So starting with that, you got to be able to run the football to win. I think football still boils down to that. To be able to stop the run and run the football leads to be able to win championships. And we have our quarterback back. He missed most of the season last year. He actually didn't come back until the playoffs. He really came back right at the end of the season. He came back in the playoffs, Keyshawn Harris. So we're so excited to have a full season with him, one that has a pocket passer that is an athlete, so not vice versa. A lot of times in high school, you have athletes at quarterback that aren't really passers, but he's a passer that happens to be an athlete. So it gives us a dynamic ability on offense to be able to throw the football, but also have the whole RPOs and all the other option game and everything else that we can do with him. So we're excited about what Keyshawn can bring as the leader of our offense. But we tell him everything starts up front. We have a pretty new offensive line that's going to be coming, but we're really excited about the group of guys that we have up there. We got all ages. We have seniors all the way down to sophomores that will be contributors along the offensive line. But one of the starters we have returning, Jamal Graham, who will be a junior. He started for us last year. We're excited about what he's going to bring to the table. Got 2 sophomores, Lou Barr and Taylor Williams, that we're extremely excited about for what they're going to bring on the offensive line. But it all starts at center with Mikey L. Taylor, who will be a senior this year at the center. So, again, everything starts up front, and we're excited about that. And just looking and excited about the guys that we have. Again, we're going to be inexperienced in some places at wide receiver, but we're excited about the guys that we have in place. Have a kid, Jalen Munger, at transfer from Ridgeway, that we're excited to see what he's going to do. We have a kid, Bronson White, who actually came to us as a quarterback, but he's too good of an athlete to be standing holding the clipboard next to me charting plays. So he's going to probably play some wide receiver this year as he trains as a quarterback, possibly for a senior season. But so we're excited about what these guys can bring to the table. And Sneaky got Terrell Holt, who we're excited about at wide receiver. That's one of the guys we can depend and lean on. So we got some young guys all going to be sprinkled around there, but I tell them you got to prove it on the field. And then when you prove it on the field, then the recognition will come, because the lights will be I tell them, you'll be playing under the lights. You're going to be getting some attention. It's time to shine when you out there, because we have some pretty big ball games we have to play this year. So they have ample time to really show it. But in the offensive backfield, to go along with Cameron Snead, we do have a running back, Marcus Taylor, that's going to be a junior, and we're excited. He's a big back. We're excited about him being able to explode on the scene as well and have a big year.
One of the beauties of high school football, of course, is you have kids coming in and out, just like college, so to speak. But how much conversation has there been about not having the finish you wanted last year? How much talk is there about changing in that silver for a gold medal in the championship? Is that something that you talk about, your staff talks about as you go through the off season?
Oh, it's something it's prevalent in our mind. We say there's only one team going to be happy at the end of the year. And we weren't that team. So since we weren't that team, the challenge is to change it. If you don't like the history, change it. If you don't like the result, the end result, change it. So it's in their hands to do it. But understand that it's not going to be given to you. The process that involves winning championships starts by your daily habits. The process is what's important. Again, those that are successful, you listen and learn from them. Again, obviously, Nick Saban in Alabama sets a precedent for how to build a team and how to go through the process. Dabo Swinney at Clemson, same thing. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I know Mike Tomlin, things he does. So I'm one that if you always look to those that are successful, and as they are successful, they teach you the things that you can do.
Culture is the buzzword, but it really is the word. I mean, you can see all the winners, the guys you named there. They all have that culture going on. Rodney Saulsberry, a longtime coach at Whitehaven, a team that is getting toward that goal, which he wants to have in that conversation every year when our rankings come out. Coach, you are in camp right now. Like I said, you had spring ball, you had your summer workouts. What are some of the boxes you feel this team needs to check in camp to let you know they're ready not only to take on that rugged schedule, but get that deep run like you like in December?
Well, the biggest thing is taking care of your body. We tell everything, and a couple of little things that we talked about in the spring and going through summer workouts is if you can bend, you can win. Your power is in being able to bend and be able to stay low and drive people. And you know where that's leaning. It's leaning about up front. The game's the one in the trenches. So we're excited about our guys being intentional on the offensive line and defensive line, getting better every day and being able to move people off the football and be able to move people and block destruction. So those things that we talk about and we're intentional about, and just excited. And another kid just popped in my head, a kid that just came to us. Again, just his family moved into our area, and I just like it. I love those gifts. The parent is like, that kid, Edric Cole, that linebacker, I mean, it's a kid is like, if somebody took an Etch-a-Sketch and wanted to draw a football player, he looks like one. And, and he just adds to that linebacker core. And but he's going to be playing like outside linebacker, defensive end, and just having that body type where I can hold my position and I can do all that. So that's what we talk about all the time, is just having guys where they can be up front, because the games are one up front, and you're going to probably hear that a lot. You're going to probably hear that a lot as you go through these conversations.
It's called coach speak. Coach speak, coach.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I feel good about? The fact of the matter is that, I'm trying to look at it both ways. A, I'm old enough to know what an Etch-a-Sketch is, but I'm also thinking about the kids out there listening going, what the heck is an Etch-a-Sketch? I know what a huddle is. I just know what Etch-a-Sketch is.
I'm dating myself.
Well, we're going to wrap up with one other question. We, folks, were listening to a conversation tonight with Rodney Saulsberry, the head coach at Whitehaven High School in Memphis, and I've asked you a couple of times to put on the ambassador hat, and I've tried to take you on a little journey here. I think you've painted a good picture of what Tiger football is all about, but I also, because of the Twitter contest, said, this is our audience is turned over to you. What's one thing maybe I haven't asked you about, or something that listeners around the nation would be interested about, whether it's something about your kids, your coaching staff, the school, a little history? Is there anything there that you can throw at them as a little tidbit to go away with?
Well, one of the things we're most proud of is that we believe in what we do. We believe in what we do. And by that means we believe in Whitehaven. We believe in our community. And the evidence is there because I'm an I'm an alum of Whitehaven High School. So I'm a graduate. I've come back I'm coaching at Whitehaven, and I serve as the head coach. The head coach prior to me, Maurice Harris, who's now the offensive coordinator at Liberty University, was a Whitehaven graduate, actually my classmate. The coach before him, Vincent Hunter, who is currently the principal at Whitehaven High School, was also a Whitehaven graduate, we all played under our former head coach, Stan Collins, who now works at the school as our family and community engagement specialist. So it's seeing that history and seeing that legacy of coaches that have come through and believing in your product, believing in your program, and coming back. And I have about 80% of my football staff are Whitehaven graduates.
Nice.
The ones that work in the school building and the ones that also volunteer their time. So it's just a great atmosphere. It's a great feel to believe in what you do. And it only not just about the football program. It actually matriculates into the school building because we have over 40 Whitehaven graduates that are teachers in the school building. So every day the kids understand that it's family. It's a family atmosphere. We believe in what we do. We have Whitehaven Empowerment Zone Expo, where we have a career day where it's all Whitehaven graduates. So pretty much about 95% of the participants that come back are Whitehaven graduates that work in all different areas in any scope of profession that you can imagine. They come back and show the kids that you can make it anywhere from here. So that whole concept of showing kids to be a window, that there's a window and a mirror to their future. A window where you can see yourself being anything, in a mirror you can see someone that's been where you've been that can achieve anything. So that's one of the biggest things we're proud of at Whitehaven, is because we're a family, and we always live by the mantra, respect the Haven, and once a Tiger, always a Tiger.
Beautiful. You walk the talk is what you're saying. Coach, thank you so much for joining us, spreading a little bit of light on shedding a little bit of light on what Haven does, and that's a great way to end it. We wish you nothing but success in 2019, and with that schedule, no doubt in my mind, you knock off a team there early. You may find Tigers in the top 100, so good luck this year.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Very welcome. Thanks, Coach. Coach Saulsberry, one of those coaches that retweeted our tweet on Twitter that allowed him to come on here and promote his program. We're probably going to do that again before the regular season kicks off, give head coaches around the country the opportunity to join us. Tomorrow we will have, I think I said this yesterday at the end of the podcast, so I messed up a little bit, but tomorrow is Chuck Peterson, the former AFCA college football assistant coach of the year when he was at Air Force. He's now at Hyde Park in Austin, Texas. Prior to that, he was the head coach in the ultra tough Trinity League in Southern California at Orange Lutheran. So Chuck will join us tomorrow on the podcast. Lots of great coaches lined up here over the next couple of weeks. And again, we thank Coach Saulsberry for joining us to talk about Whitehaven. They have a good shot. They get some big early wins to climb into the High School Football America 100. For now, this is Jeff Fisher saying I'll talk to you tomorrow on the High School Football America podcast.